if we're not in front of a flag. So we will continue that great tradition when we get back to seeing each other in person, which I hope is sooner rather than later. And I want to just make sure that we're all present. Are all the committee members present? Is anyone saying?
We can certainly take a roll call.
Yes, could we do that, please?
Sure. Alternate committee member Tony Chow.
Here.
Alternate committee member Rick Chow.
Here.
Committee member McKay.
Present.
Committee member Lakon.
Present.
Committee member Chang.
Here.
Vice Chair Wong.
Present.
And Chair Batnich.
Present. Okay, thank you. So first I'll make some comments about the procedures. Each committee member has received plans and has reviewed every item on the agenda and visited each site. The general order for hearing each case will be as follows. The committee will ask staff any questions they may have. The chair will then ask the applicant or the applicant's representative to comment on the proposal. The hearing will then be open to the public, and the chair will ask for comments for, against, or about the project. In all cases, please come forward or speak on Zoom and give your name and address. At the conclusion of the public comments, the applicant will have a chance to respond, and no further comments from the public will be accepted. The chair will then ask for comments from each of the committee members, followed by committee member discussion, by further discussion among the committee members. If there is no motion for approval or denial, the DRC has the option of continuing the application to a future meeting. In the event of a denial, it is hoped that the applicant will have heard comments during the public comment period and during deliberations that will be useful in resubmitting an application. It is important for the property owner to understand that once a project is approved by the DRC, the drawings become legal documents. If any changes are made to the project subsequent to approval without obtaining proper approval of those changes, then the property owner is in fact breaking the law. There is risk of having to change the project back to the originally approved design or paying a fine to the city of San Marino equal to the greater of 5% of the project valuation or $2,500, and then resubmitting the changes made to the project to the DRC. It is also important to understand that there is a 15-day appeal period after action has been taken for the applicant or any interested party to request the Planning Commission to review and act on the case. After all of the agenda items have been heard, 2 design review committee members will conduct an open forum. I believe that we have discussed that that is not really feasible during the time that we are having these meetings on Zoom. But I will just continue reading this for formality and opportunities for the future, in which case we may be present. At this time, residents or their representatives may ask committee members about current or future projects relating to their property. Committee members can discuss the design with you, but cannot comment on how they might vote on the project. At this time, I'd like to ask if there are any public comments about items not on the agenda. Okay, seeing none, we will begin with our agenda items. The first item that we have on the agenda is design review case number DRC 20-44 900 Huntington Drive. Could we please have the staff report?
Sure, thank you, Chair. The application for design review case number DRC 20-44 is a continued item from the previous meeting. The applicant is proposing to install a non-illuminated wall sign known as, for the business known as DaVita Kidney Care at the building located at 900 Huntington Drive. For clarification, the applicant has clarified on the plans that the sign will not be illuminated and will measure 14.66 square feet in size. And just one thing I wanted to add on signage, because we do have 2 signs on the agenda tonight. After discussing with both the community development director as well as the city attorney, I would like to make clear that this committee's purview when it comes to regulation of logos and colors over signs is very limited. So just something to keep in mind when making comments regarding this sign and the next item, which will also be this.
When you say it's very limited, could you give us a little more detail on that? Like what is within the parameters and what is not within our parameters?
Sure, just a little snippet of the communication we got from the city attorney. If she mentions if a sign were, say, denied, for example, based on the use of a corporate logo, it would be invalid when it comes to a content-based determination. However, if the logo is placed on a larger sign and the DRC doesn't like the color of the background of the sign because they feel the background is incompatible, then that could be some sort of, that could be grounds for either conditioning or denial of the sign. But yeah.
I'm sorry, continue.
That was it.
Okay, what about, I understand that something like the background that is behind the logo would be something that we could make comment on or changes desired. But what about like materials?
Unfortunately, there was no mention of materials in the communication.
Okay, because it was my understanding that we do have, you know, that is within our purview to discuss the suitability of materials, and that would include the materials used for the logo.
I would agree. Yeah, there's nothing contrary to that in this communication as far as the materials, only the logo and colors themselves.
So the way the logo looks, the way the logo is designed, and the colors on the logo.
Right.
Okay, but not the materials or anything that is about the size and shape of the sign, about the illumination of the sign, about the materials used for the sign.
Also correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Do you want to continue?
That concluded the presentation.
Okay. Do committee members have questions that they would like to propose to pose to the staff? Okay, seeing none, is the applicant or the applicant's representative or the applicant's representative present to be available for questions or give a very brief presentation? Because I think that this is, as I understand it, is very similar, if not exactly the same as what we were presented at the last meeting, but with some clarifications that were not made clear.
Yes, Cynthia Lima with Superior Electrical Advertising, 1700 West Anaheim Street, Long Beach, California. You are correct. Our initial submittal was for internally illuminated channel letters at 41.3 square feet, which was well within code. After appearing with DRC initially, we took the comments to heart and returned with a non-illuminated sign at 14.66 square feet, a reduction of some 64%. The sign is styled based on DaVita Kidney Care's nationally registered trademark logo that they use nationwide at 5,000 locations. There have been comments made regarding material and color. With regard to the material, we are using acrylic, which I believe a couple of people commented on, but I would like to point out that the acrylic is painted. So the finish on all of the letters is going to be a painted satin finish. And so once painted, you wouldn't know if you're using acrylic, wood, metal, etc. In appearance. And that's all I wanted to share. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any public comments regarding this agenda item? I know we had some comments that were submitted letters that were submitted at the beginning of this. So, and I believe that was in our packet again. So I'm seeing nobody here for public comment. I will close the public hearing and we will now begin a committee member discussion. So can we start with committee member Lakon?
Actually, I have a question. I had a question for the applicant.
Okay, yes, go ahead. And then we will go back and open this up for questions from committee members to the applicant. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. In the proposal, there's the colors in the drawing look make the words kidney care look black, but it's indicated to have all blue lettering. I just wanted to get that cleared up by the applicant. The actual color of the letters on the front. They all say blue. Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
But, well, you know what? Now I'm looking at it on a different computer and now it looks blue. Never mind. On my desktop, it looks black, but on my...
I think it's because it's very small and the borders around the letters take up a lot of the space. So
okay.
Black, but it is blue. I don't know if
it is blue. I see it now. But, and then also is the fact that it's outlined in black, is that strictly just for the image here and not in reality?
That's correct. It's just the image to show it for the rendering. The reality is that the entire letter, the sides and the face are painted blue, and then for the star, the sides and the face are painted yellow.
Okay. Can I ask you a question about the logo on the door on the side? That is white. Is there a reason that lettering can be white or a different color besides the blue and the yellow, but yet this one can't be a different color?
Yeah, the white door decals are standard for them as well. And it's basically in terms of readability, because they generally tint their windows, it provides better contrast with the tinted black background for them to be able to read. They do have licensing requirements within the state of California with the medical licensing that the name of the facility be on the door, and that name has to match exactly what's on their license to operate as a dialysis center. So that's where this comes into play.
Okay. And another question I have is we talked about this last time, that this is a training facility for patients who are going to learn how to do dialysis on themselves?
That's correct.
And they're not going to be doing dialysis here, per se. Is that correct?
They'll have the equipment to teach people how to do it there. So that may mean that they're sitting there having it done, learning how to do it at the same time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay. And then could you tell me the hours that it's going to be open and the days?
Unfortunately, I don't have that information at this time. I can comment summarily that they generally, a lot of times are open every other day, or they will be open for limited hours 7 days of the week. But every facility that I've worked with have all had different hours. So I apologize.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I just recall something you saying something last time about being open very early. So I was just checking.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because they often open at 4 or 5 a.m. Because it's a long process when the patients come in.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Are there other committee members? Are there other committee members with questions for the applicant? Okay.
Can I ask one more? Can I ask one more?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just have one more question. I'm sorry, but is there any time that you that DaVita has had a clinic in a historic district where there was strict regulations and conditions on signs? Is that something that exists? There's so many DaVitas. I thought, is that something that's come up before? Not that this is a historic district per se. I'm not talking about that. I'm just curious if there's ever been a time that
I do.
DaVita has.
Can you what?
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I guess the best thing for me to do.
Someone's mic is open. Okay.
Okay.
To answer your question, yes, but the examples that I would give you are that we were required to use like a sandblasted wood sign where it's more of a panel, or, you know, we'll do maybe like a 2-foot by 12-foot wood panel that's sandblasted and stained and still use their blue logo, but it has to be on a wood background, that kind of thing. But it's been very, I mean, I think we've done that maybe 3 times in the 20 years that I've worked with them.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Do other committee members have comments? Yes, Committee Member Cheng.
Yeah, I have one quick question for Ms. Lima. I understand these letters are 1-inch thick acrylic plastic, painted both the front, the back, and the side. Are the Kinney Sanders small letters, 6-inch letters, are also 1-inch thick, or they're thinner?
They're also 1-inch thick.
They are 1-inch thick. So the thickness is the same throughout them, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I have. Thank you.
Other questions from committee members?
I have one. I want to ask the applicant, what's the experience of the company in the ease of maintenance of these letters painted satin over time? Obviously, we want to avoid things being a little run down and difficult to maintain over time. So can you share with us your experience overall?
Sure, great question. We use an architectural paint called Matthews brand. And so it comes with a 7-year warranty in terms of fading, cracking, peeling. We generally never have any issues with it. The maintenance would be that you just repaint it in this, particular scenario. But in all honesty, they've changed their logos so many times in the last 20 years that we're more apt to come back and put a new sign up with a different logo than we are to repaint it because they've rebranded so many times.
Thank you.
Other questions from committee members? Okay, seeing none, we will now go to committee member discussion. So going back, committee member Lacon, would you like to make your comments?
Sure.
You're muted, committee member Lacon.
How's that? Okay. I still, I appreciate the size being smaller and definitely non-illuminated. I think that was really key here. I understand wanting the sign so high, but I still have trouble with the materials being compatible with a Spanish building in this location. To me, this whole center from Chelsea to Oak Knoll is a very historic, and I think it's important to maintain the integrity of this whole center commercial district. So I think we need to be really careful before we approve a sign, especially made out of material that is not something that I would consider compatible in a Spanish architectural style at this time. I like to see something in a different material before I can support it. I'm worried that it's also across from all residential zoned properties, and I think we need to keep this commercial area as residential / commercial, but more like a residential feel as possible. It's the first commercial district you approach when you enter the city. It has some of I think it's our first commercial building in the city. And I think it's a really important building. And I hope that we can come up with something that fits the building and satisfies the applicant. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, Committee Member Wong.
Thank you. I appreciate the applicant. It's okay. I appreciate the applicant taking in all the comments from the community as well as the committee. I see the sign reduced substantially. Now the main logo is about 12 point some square feet, whereas the kidney center is 1.7 or so, so a combined of 14 point something, a change. More importantly, the illumination is gone. The fact that it is painted satin and the size of it tells me that it is not going to draw undue attention to traffic and passers-by. And given it's a commercial operation, I think it is with ground for me to support this case. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee Member McKay.
Thank you. I also appreciate the applicant's clarifying, and it's clarified in the report and it's clarified in the submission that this will not be illuminated. That was a big sticking point at the last meeting, and so I appreciate that, as well as the reduction in size, which I think was executed between the first and second time that the applicant was before the committee. I appreciate that there have not been any issues with the satin material, the satin painting, and I think that the size is consistent with other signage in that district. I am cognizant of what Committee Member Lacon is stating. When you're approaching from the west, this is the first commercial area of our city, and we don't want to have anything that is garish. I'm hoping that the satin painting, the satin material, will keep it on the subdued side of the blue color. And I'm very happy about the clarification on the non-illumination. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee Member Chang.
Yeah, I also appreciate the applicant work with staff and try to bring it to the right height, and with the understanding that this is a corporate color, changing the material is not going to change the look of it anyway. That acrylic material seems to be the proper material considering the maintenance part of it. So I would figure that this will be the right solution if we were to work with that color anyway. So even if we change it to a more woodsy color, woodsy material, but with that color, is going to make it look worse. So I can support the application the way it is now. So I can support it.
Okay, Committee Member Rick Chow.
Yes, I also want to echo the feedback from my colleagues. And thank you very much for the applicant's patience and effort, the representative, Cynthia. The effort to make the changes necessary. I think in the last meeting, I think the solution was basically there, but the confusion was, of course, it was presented as a illuminated sign. So I think we can probably, if you've lived here long enough, we can probably all remember the video store here. years ago and taking the same location. And Blockbuster, I think, had a much bigger sign, larger sign, but facing the would be the west. I think this is a very reasonable solution. Again, you know, with the reduced size, not even illuminated. So I think this is compatible. I certainly understand the concern that committee member Lakon had pointed out, but I think in light of what staff had mentioned about the corporate logo kind of limitations that we DRC really have, I think this is really appropriate and can be supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee member Tony Chow.
Yeah, I mean, in the interest of time, I agree with mostly what everyone has echoed. I think it's considerate and probably the most proper approach for signage for this business in on this building. So I would support it.
Thank you. That leaves me. So there is something about this maybe it's, you know, it's coming up before us many times. And there's something about this logo on this building that I think there's just something a little bit off about it. I mean, maybe it's the bright colors on the there's something very modern and colorful and something super subdued and very traditional that it's a little bit of a juxtaposition, but it is their corporate logo. So of course, that's just how it is. They found a space that they like and they can put a sign up, of course. You know, in a perfect world, I think that a wooden sign that's kind of—
I don't want to hear them.
I think, you know, in a perfect world, this might have been a more natural material, like that wooden sandblast. But I do think, you know, I'm leaning a little bit more towards it's become a lot smaller. I think it's been very clear that the non-illumination was a big issue for us, for this committee. That has been resolved. I hope that the satin finish will make it look a little bit less of that plasticky, shiny feel. So I would be in favor of this today, somewhat reluctantly, but because I really see committee member Lakon's points that there's something not very compatible about this sign on this building, but I could support it for today. So do we have a motion?
I move to approve DRC case 20/44.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a second from
Raymond Chang.
From committee member Chang. Okay, we have roll call.
Committee member McKay.
Yes.
Committee member Lakon.
No.
Committee member Chang.
Yes.
Vice Chair Wong.
Yes.
And Chair Batnich.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the motion carries. I'm going to announce the next agenda item, but I will have to recuse myself. So we now move on to the next item on the agenda, design review case number DRC 20-13, 2187 Lorraine Road. And as I said, I have to recuse myself because I live very close to that house, and I will—
Lady Chair, I have to do the same thing. I live within 500 feet from that, so I need to recuse myself also.
Okay, so take it away,
Right.
Vice Chair.
Chair, and thank you, Committee Member Chang. So we have alternate member Rick Chow and alternate member Tony Chow join us in this discussion for DRC case 20/13 at 2187 Loring Road. So staff report, please.
Sure. The design review case number 20-13 is also a continued item from last month's meeting for the home at 2187 Lorraine Road. The applicant is proposing to make exterior modifications to the existing single-story home. The exterior modifications include the removal of 2 existing bay windows, installation of a picture window, and the reframing of an existing porch to create a Spanish-style entrance arch. The applicant has provided additional clarification on some of the materials that will be used. I believe there were some questions as the materials that were going to be used in the porch area, as well as examples of other windows in a similar style on similar homes in the nearby area. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, staff. Any committee member has any question for the staff? Yes.
Hi.
Rick Chow,
my
please.
question is, can you give us kind of a quick review that what were the main objections or concerns from last meeting and what the applicant has done differently?
So if I recall, unfortunately, I don't have the minutes from the previous meeting in front of me, but I recall that the main concern, I'd say, was there was no information as far as the installation of the windows. I believe it was details that were lacking as far as the installation. Also that the picture window in the front would be without grids. Those were the main concerns. As far as clarification, I believe there were some questions as to the materials that would be used in the porch area, specifically whether it would be concrete or tile for the flooring of the porch. If I recall, that was it. But the applicant is here to make those clarifications, and she did also provide additional details within the plans that were provided to the committee.
Staff, as I recall, there's also a comment about changing out the biggest window from with grills into no grills, but a piece of flat glass. And then there was said to be inconsistent with the immediate neighborhood. Maybe that's the reason why the applicant submitted additional photos of houses with similar big windows.
Right, I did.
Neighborhood.
Yeah, I did mention that as one of the concerns that was brought up at the previous meeting. And the applicant did, as you mentioned, provide additional examples of other similar style windows on similar style homes in nearby residences.
Thank you for the clarification. Sure. Any other questions for staff from our committee members? Seeing none, so may I invite the applicant to give us any update that there may be?
Hi, good evening. My name is Christina. I am the representative for the owners for this project here at 2187 Lorraine Road. I am with the Silver Elm Studio. It's a small architectural firm here in San Marino. And so yes, repeating after Marlon, there were 3 main concerns from last DRC meeting. Number 1 was the concrete color for the patio flooring. Community member Lakon was questioning whether it will be tiled or concrete and what color finish and if there's going to be any patterns. And so it will be carved concrete, but it's going to be I have provided the concrete chart as part of the information that's been submitted, as well as a picture of a photo of an existing house with that similar concrete color. And it's going to be a light coral color that's going to complement well with the surrounding landscaping and with the proposed stucco color for the house. And number 2 item that was discussed last time was the window details. And on my window schedule last time, it was stated as Lincoln window, but we decided to change to Jeld-Wen for the jamb size because the Jeld-Wen jamb size will fit better with the existing house instead of a Lincoln. And so in my drawing, I provided updated window details with actual Jeld-Wen jamb and header and sill detail provided by Jeld-Wen incorporated into the framing detail so that you'll be able to see how we're going to be furring out the wall from the inside to make the wall thicker to create a recessed look, as well as a 1-inch stucco return on the outside for a more clean, authentic Spanish style facade in the front. And when it comes to the grid versus no grid, it was regarding the bay window, and I think as well as the casement window at the right side of the house. And so I drove around that part of the town. I took pictures of 11 houses of very similar style. And all these houses have a large picture window in the front that have no grid, as well as other windows next to it or nearby that are various in sizes and very various in grid patterns. And so I don't think that our elevation is that bad. I think the grid pattern that we're proposing on our elevation is the sizes are pretty consistent compared to what was there before. They were just too busy. The grids are really small, just too many grids. And the owner do want to keep the casement window that's on the left side, the right side of the facade, just because that room has only one other window, and they want to be able to have two windows that can open for airflow. And so that's all, and thank you so much, and I hope that you will be able to approve this project.
Thank you, applicant. Now I would like to ask if there's any public comments. Any comments or questions from the committee members to the applicants, please?
I have a question.
Committee member Lee-Gan, please.
Could you tell me the elevation of the porch just to the right and the left of the step? Am I on?
The height?
Yes, the height. I'm sorry, the height from the ground up to the top of the porch. So to the right and left of the steps.
To the left and the right of the steps. So that the height of the porch?
Yeah.
Okay, let me open up my CAD file really quick. I think it's about 2 feet, but let me double check. But it is an existing porch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's already this height?
It's already that high. Well, it's
okay.
I can share the picture of what is there. So this is the existing house.
Right, okay.
Yes, and the porch is there. Right now, the current porch is about 18 inches to the top. And then there's actually another step inside the porch to go up to the house. So from that step that's inside the porch to the ground level outside, it's almost 2 feet. And then there's actually another 6 inches going into the house from that step. And so yeah, so that's
okay. That answers my question. But now my next question is and I'm glad you put this picture up. See how the handrail is right here? I guess when I see the picture, I think it looks nice. My question is, it looks a bit awkward without rails, possibly in the plan. And when I'm looking at it, it looks like somebody could fall over right by the front door when they walk in to the left. That's what I'm asking. So are these rails coming back even though they're not on the design, are they coming back after the project is completed, or will they not be necessary?
I think they will need to be put back just because the height is going to be over 18 inches. So it will need to have railings for the patio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. No problem, thank you.
Great, and as you mentioned earlier that you may have samples of how the patio color or material is like. Is there anything you can share with the committee as well?
Here you go, sure. So this is the picture that the owner has researched and found. Sorry, it's fuzzy. So this is the color scheme that it's very similar to what we're going to do for our house. So the window is black, which is going to be matching existing, and a very light color stucco. We're probably not going to go as white as this one, but the concrete for the patio will be this coral color, similar to this one right here. And then we also have the concrete. Our general contractor has provided this for us. So this is the concrete sample. So right here, the coral right here, this is the concrete color that will be used. And this is from the concrete color board by Increase Systems.
I have one more question. When you interior, you're removing the fireplace, but the chimney is staying. Are you going to be?
The chimney is staying? Right, that's correct. The chimney is staying. I don't want to remove that chimney. I think the chimney is a nice. It's a nice touch to the house.
Okay.
Yeah, but we will need to reinforce the chimney just because the fireplace has been removed. So we're going to be.
Oh, wait a minute. I think the chimney's gone.
Yeah, I'm having the general contractor build it back. So.
Okay, so I was like, wait a minute. I looked and it was gone. That's what I forgot.
Yeah, no, I told him he had to build it back because the whole chimney is brick, and so he removed the fireplace down. It's a huge brick, one of those half circle fireplace. Oh. Yeah, so that whole thing was heavy and just messy. And so he's going to rebuild the chimney to match how it is, the existing chimney.
Okay.
I have a question for the applicant.
Mm-hmm.
The photo you just showed that showed the coral concrete color, mm-hmm. Is that just a random photo that was taken from the internet? That's not a San Marino property.
I don't think so. The homeowner sent me that picture, so I'm not sure where she got that picture from.
Okay, it doesn't appear to be.
Any other questions from the committee?
I have one more question. The Santa Barbara finish that's proposed, can you describe that stucco, or do you have the product to show us on a because I'm concerned that the Santa Barbara finish is a very contemporary finish, and it's very smooth and contemporary, and something that you see on that kind of modernizes houses, but not necessarily houses you see in San Marino. So I was hoping you could show me an image of.
Yeah, it is a smooth finish stucco. I have seen pictures of old Spanish style houses that do have the smooth stucco texture. If you want picture, I have to Google them right now.
That's okay. No, does the owner particularly, is this part of the whole scheme, is to have the very contemporary style stucco versus something a little more traditional?
I think so. I think they do like the smoother look of the Santa Barbara instead of the fine sand. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they want to have this exterior to look as clean as possible. So they're hoping to be able to just use Santa Barbara finish.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from any of the committee members? If not, and previously there's no public comments, so we'll close the public hearing and let the committee member comment among the committee. So may I first ask alternate member Rick Chow?
Yes, from what I hear, what I see from the presentation by the representative today, I think this is a project that can be supported. If moving forward, perhaps there would be condition built in to address the rail and the chimney, as committee member Lecon had pointed out. Thank you.
Thank you. And committee member McKay?
Thank you. I just want to express again, and I think this was expressed at the last meeting, my appreciation for the thought and care that's gone into a lot of the choices, and the renovation is an improvement in terms of the bringing the house into a internally consistent architectural style. And also I appreciate the applicants addressing the concerns and issues that the committee raised at the last meeting very much. I could support the project with the very valid concerns that committee member Lecon addressed with the safety issue with the front rail. And I think that's the sum total of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And committee member Lecon? Your turn.
Am I on?
Yes, please.
Muted. Thank you. I really appreciate the work that went into this. I think it's a nice renovation, like I had stated last time, and I really appreciate the patio material. I think that's a nice choice that will finish the project nicely. And I am comfortable with a rail, if maybe the same rail or a rail similar style approved by the over-the-counter by staff. And the only concern I have is the stucco. I would really like to see something a little bit more traditional. I understand the aesthetic. I think it's nice. I just find it not to be compatible in the neighborhood. And I think that that's important to establish, to keep the streetscape somewhat cohesive. I think the black windows and the new windows and the black and the contrasting colors is going to really modernize it anyway. And I think that a little more traditional stucco finish could kind of help blend it into the neighborhood. But overall, I think it's a nice project. And with those conditions of the rail and the fireplace, I could support it. And I would prefer the stucco changed. But thank you.
Thank you. And committee member Tony Chow, please.
Yeah, appreciate, I guess, the applicant being not only considerate, but pretty proactive in this. I think, even last time you were pretty thoughtful about reusing the roof pieces and kind of maintaining pieces of the structure that's already there. And I can support, I think color, shape, materials, it's all a major improvement from what's existing there right now. So I can definitely support it.
Thank you. We have heard the committee members' comments covering the rail, the chimney, and possibly stucco. I flip into the San Marino Design Review guidelines for residential, and in section C2 about physical design components, doors and windows, it talks about that why mullions width are strongly discouraged. And in this design, the front window on the west side is a big piece of glass. And while I understand some of the design interests of the owner and the designer and their effort of showing samples of similar windows around town, I have to limit myself to the immediate neighborhood. And that is what one of the members said, streetscape. So when I walk along the north side of that Lorraine section and also its opposite south side, I don't see any big glass window like that. They are all with grills, very consistent. And I find it difficult not to conclude that a big piece of glass window would stand out quite obviously among the immediate neighborhood. Our goal is to look at the immediate community and neighborhood rather than what else is around town, and we don't know why that happened, so it is not our purview, in my opinion. So I would have a difficulty with a big glass window in the front, which is drawing a lot of attention. I believe the fact that there is some plain glass design in the middle window is already a compromise to give the house a little bit more than touch. And to me, that is not excessive, but a big piece of glass on the west side seems to be very excessive. And looking at or comparing the existing design of the house and what would be the new design, it is very different. And then look at the neighbors' houses and this new design or proposed design, it is very different. So I have a problem approving this case myself. So having shared our comments among the committee, let's see if we have a motion. Yes.
Can I ask,
Okay.
can we discuss?
Oh, hold on.
Go ahead.
Sorry, do you have more comments or do you want me to make a motion?
I had one comment.
Your comment, please. Yes. Committee Member Lee.
Well, Peter, but you just really brought up good points a good point about that standing out. And I hadn't really thought about that too much because I have seen Spanish houses with that large window, but I understand what you're saying. And because these windows they're facing south, it's going to be, it's really going to be very, very prominent on the street in that position. And it's, I don't know what color those windows are going to be, but because the frames are black, they look like they're going to be a tint because they're new windows, so they won't be very clear. And I think that that is going to be a very big, dark space, and that actually might stand out more than I had thought about. So Peter, I have to agree with your comments.
Thank you. So any other comments? If not, then let's see if we have a motion. Committee Member Chow?
Okay,
Chow?
so if no further comments,
Can I say something about the window? Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because there is a really big magnolia tree right in front of our window. So that tree is going to be blocking a lot of the view of the window. So driving down, you know, you'll most likely be looking at seeing the tree before you even see the window. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, continue on, please.
I appreciate that.
Rick?
Yes, thank you. So I definitely hear Vice Chair Wong's concern. However, at this point, I'd like to make a motion to conditional approval for this item with the rail concern and the chimney as the conditions, those two. So that would be my motion to approve, conditional approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Tony Chow, second. Let's have a roll call.
Alternate committee member Tony Chow?
Yes.
Alternate committee member Rick Chow?
Yes.
Committee member McKay?
Yes.
Committee member Lakon?
No.
And Vice Chair Wong?
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So I'll hand back the chair position to Chair Bennett.
You're on mute, Chair.
Excuse me, sorry about that. We will now move on to design review case number DRC 20-42, 2277 Huntington Drive. Could we please have the staff report?
Sure. Design review case number DRC 20-42 is a proposal to install an illuminated wall sign for a new restaurant known as Chicken Terria. The illuminated channel letter wall mounted sign is proposed on the south facade of the building, facing Huntington Drive. The location, size, and illumination of the sign is consistent with other signage found on the building and around the neighborhood. The proposed sign will measure a total of 16.64 square feet and featuring the restaurant's name and logo. Staff recommends approval of the project, and that concludes the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions of the staff that committee members have? I have a question, which I don't know if you can answer or not. Do you know how the size of the proposed lettering and logo compares to the size of the two on either side of this property? Because it looks not gigantic compared to them, but it looks perhaps a little bit bigger. I wasn't really able to tell because the applicant didn't provide something that really shows much beyond like a very small amount of the UPS store logo. So I'm just wondering if you have any knowledge of that.
Unfortunately, I did look for permits to state that may have had that information on the signs. Unfortunately, that was not stated on the permits. I don't know if the applicant has those calculations, but I do know it is under the 4% required within the municipal code.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from committee members to ask staff?
I have a question. Did you examine the lighting, the illumination of this sign compared to the illumination of the signs in that block? Because I think the illumination that is being proposed here is very different from the illumination of the other signs in that block.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's some more information that I was unable to find on the permits for the existing signs. I don't know if we have a tool to measure illumination for existing signs. And unfortunately, during staff's hours at City Hall, it's daylight and the signs are not illuminated during that time. That may be another detail that the applicant can speak to, though.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions that committee members have for staff? Okay, seeing none, we will ask the
Member Tao has a question.
Oh, excuse me, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just to confirm, on that block, on that short block, the illuminated signs are the UPS store and Starbucks, given that the San Marino cleaners are no longer in business. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there other questions to ask of staff?
I have a question regarding the awning sign.
Sure.
If they were to have a sign off the awning, because currently the garnish sign is still on the awning,
right?
On that front fold. So would they have to come back to DRC to have their logo put on the awning as well, or is that something that can happen because it already has a name on it?
So the municipal code actually prohibits, limits signage on a building to 1 per elevation. So they would only be allowed the wall-mounted sign.
So that would have to be changed, or?
Yeah, the Garnish Cafe sign that's there now would have to be removed.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we will ask the applicant or applicant's representative to give a brief, to briefly present the project.
Hi, my name's, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can.
My name's Chris from Cosine. And we're pretty much just doing an illuminated.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kim, I believe. Would you mind? I wanted to ask this of the previous person who was.
Sure.
If it's possible, would you mind putting on your video? I think that it would be helpful.
Oh, I do not have video, unfortunately.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're proposing illuminated channel letters onto a wall, and it says Chicken Terria, and the yeah, it's just illuminated channel letters on a wall. Yeah. I'll be open to answer questions.
Okay. Are there any committee members who would like to ask the applicant's representative any questions about this project?
Yes, I do, Chair.
Okay, please.
Mr. Kim, on those channel letters, I need to understand the construction of the channel letters. Are these, looking at your detail, you have a trim cap at the edge of the letter. And yes. What is the box behind it? Is it aluminum? Is it made out of aluminum?
Yes.
The letter itself?
Yes.
And that trim cap is also aluminum, or what is it?
Trim cap is actually plastic.
So you got a plastic edge around the whole letter.
Yes.
And what color are they?
It's black.
So the plastic is black. The aluminum is painted black.
Yes.
And then including in the yellow letters, Terria is also black trim.
Yes.
So the difference is that on the chicken, the plexiglass is black.
No, the plexiglass would be white. It will be so just to explain the sign a little bit more. For the logo, it will be a white acrylic, and it would have the vinyl cut, translucent vinyl on top of it. Chicken, the letters chicken Terria would be having a coffee brown translucent vinyl overlay over the acrylic, and Terria would have a golden yellow for an overlay for the acrylic.
I'm sorry, you're fading out. So instead of black, it's a charcoal brown color.
So it's a white acrylic. It's a white acrylic with what's a coffee brown vinyl, translucent
Okay.
vinyl overlay.
So during the day it looks brown, right?
It's gonna look brown during the day. It's gonna look brown during the night.
How can it brown look in the night?
So there's a translucent brown vinyl. So light will bleed through it.
I think you lost me there. You got a brown color plastic during the day.
White color plastic.
White color plastic.
Uh-huh.
And then you have the white light behind it.
Yes.
And then this perforated,
it's not
brown
perforated
color goes on top of the white vinyl. So during the day it looks brown because there's no light behind it. At nighttime, the light will go through the perforated vinyl.
No, I'm sorry. It's not perforated at all. There's no perforation. There is a translucent vinyl that can let light through.
It cannot let light through?
It can. Yes, it can.
So at nighttime, how would a brown sign look like?
So it's a little bit, it'll just be lit like, how do I say it? It's just a lighter brown. So you would be able to see the brown illuminated at night. And we're using a brand that actually has a coffee brown vinyl. That is
vinyl. That's the part that concerns me. I don't understand that. Usually the vinyl is the 3M perforated vinyl that goes on top of the acrylic. And then so give you that color during the day, and when the light comes on at night, they all become white.
Yeah, so that's a dual color film. That's by 3M. There is a translucent brown. You know, like if you did red, if you did yellow, if you did blue, it will just be translucent.
Okay, like so just a standard translucent acrylic color. So it's not vinyl.
No, vinyl. It is vinyl.
It's vinyl?
Yes, it's white acrylic with vinyl. There is a coffee brown translucent vinyl.
Maybe I'm just not familiar with that. But anyway, so at nighttime it looks light brown.
Yes.
And then the yellow will look yellow at night.
Yes.
And during the day they will look yellow as the original color.
Yes.
And then the light brown becomes dark brown.
It'll be coffee brown in the morning, and it'll be a lighter brown and at nighttime.
And then the logo will be a white translucent vinyl.
Yeah, so the
vinyl. I thought it was a plastic.
No, the white is plastic.
Okay. What is the difference between a vinyl and a plastic?
Okay, let's just think of it like this. The first layer is acrylic or plexiglass.
Right.
And then
hard copy.
Yeah, the hard. Yeah, it would be acrylic, and then it'll be a vinyl on top of that.
That's what I'm talking about. A vinyl is it's similar to the 3M perforated vinyl, right?
It's not perforated at all.
I know it's not perforated, but it's the same material. It's a soft piece of vinyl that you glue on top of the plastic, right?
Yeah, it'll be it has an adhesive back, so it'll go on top of the acrylic.
Glue on,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So it's a composite of a hard copy of a plastic, and you have a vinyl on top of it. So
yes,
that's the one that changed the color, because you got a
it doesn't change color. There's no color change at all. It's a translucent vinyl, so when light hits it in the back, it'll just be illuminated. There's no change in color whatsoever.
Have you checked, or have experience with this adhesive between the vinyl and the plexiglass over time? Because this is something new that I usually people use the acrylic as a color, and at least you don't go through another piece of vinyl that glue on top. At least the plan didn't show that.
So if you look to the left, there's a UPS store and you see the logo.
Yeah.
So that's illuminated at nighttime as well. So when light bleeds through that, the UPS logo illuminates.
No, I understand. But their sign, the white sign that they have, at nighttime is white, and it's I don't think it's a vinyl on top of that.
Yeah, because it's white. Because acrylic just usually is white. But if you look at the logo, the UPS, the shield, yeah, that's illuminated, and that's brown as well.
Okay, so your chicken word is similar construction with the UPS.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I have one more quick question before I let it go. And so it would be light brown, and then the edge will be black, basically.
Yes.
The box will be black.
Yes.
Okay, so you got a black edge all the way around, and it's about 5 inches thick.
Yes.
Off the wall.
Yes.
Okay. This with the LED light, you don't need a raceway behind it.
No. So there's an existing circuit that's actually there.
So you just puncture through the parapet wall and have the switch and the box behind it on top of the roof.
Yes.
Okay. Your detail isn't quite like that, but I think because you can't quite like that. There's a cam strip behind it if you put it on top of the roof, but you may have to run it to the correct location. It wouldn't come out like that. But anyway, I try to understand schematically and how you're going to install that. Will your sign be at about the same height as the UPS sign?
Yes, we're gonna try. We're gonna be leveling with the neighbor.
So logo match logo, wording match wording.
I think the highest point you would see is maybe the top of the UPS. That's the line that we're gonna line up with the logo, and then the letters are gonna be aligned.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Thank you. You answered my question.
Okay, Committee Member Wong, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, if I may, I want to make one quick comment and two questions. First, Mr. Kim, thanks for being here, but it is not helping us by not being able to see you and not being able to connect with any visual that you may have for us.
I'm sorry.
A lot of time to everybody, so I hope it will not happen, again for anybody. But my question is, I want to understand the structure. I see 3 pieces. Tell me if I'm correct. First, the logo, which is basically a white background, and then the word chicken and terrier. So chicken, each letter is mounted individually, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right, so there's no big frame or wraparound
of course not.
Around these characters, these alphabets, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. The final question is, what is the plan or proposed operation hour for these lightings at nighttime or evening time? Is it 24 hours or after dark all the way through morning or what?
I mean, what we're gonna do is, we're not doing anything with the timer or that's gonna be completely up to the tenant. What we're gonna be doing is putting a photocell onto the sign. Because that's just energy standards. And what the photocell is going to do is when it's at nighttime, it's going to be on when it's dark outside. And then when it's daytime, it's going to shut off.
Great. So it's light sensor.
Yes, basically. It has a light sensor. There you go.
Thank you. No more questions.
Okay, other questions for the applicant's representative?
I have a couple of questions, please.
Please.
Thank you. I'd like to know about this yellow that you're planning to use. Can you give us some detail on the yellow? The Terria part of it is going to be yellow, I understand.
Yes.
And what shade of yellow is that?
It's going to be a golden yellow.
Okay. Do you have any materials or samples to show us? I guess not.
I couldn't. Let's see. Let me see what I can do. I'm sorry. This is like the first time using Zoom, so I'm not sure what.
You just have to do the video, or you could do the share.
I just hold on one second. Let me pull up the website.
There are a lot of shades of yellow, and I'm not seeing any detail or real description on that.
Okay, do you guys see that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so it's either what we're trying to do. What we originally presented was this.
So it's quite a bright yellow.
Just solid yellow, but then from what I'm thinking is I think this would match it a little bit more better with the coffee brown. So there's not too much of a contrast.
Because we have, am I correct? We have the white, which
Yes.
has the coffee brown. Then we have the black, and then we have the yellow. And these are three separate pieces. Is that right?
Yes.
And this is not a chain. Is that right? This is a standalone business. It's not a chain. Are there
actually they don't have it in English, but then they do have. I think this is a chain from Korea, and they do have some locations in Korea. And I think what he's trying to do is bring that over here. But obviously,
is there some reason that the applicant did not want to employ, you have the UPS store and you have Starbucks, and they all have a uniform letters, a uniform signage, you know, the letters are all uniform in size. They're uniform in font. And then you have this very sort of unusual script where the C and the H are quite large. Okay. A smaller I and C, and then a quite large K. And is there some reason that that was employed in that manner?
Yeah, so what we did was we didn't design this logo. The business owner provided this logo to us, and he said this is what he wanted.
And can you tell us more about the illumination? Because the illumination at Starbucks is quite subtle, actually. It's backlit. It's backlit at night, and it's not garish. Can you tell us about the illumination of this signage?
Let's see. I wasn't. I mean, the illumination is going to be within the letter. There's not going to be. How do I say? There's not going to be backlit where it gives it a halo effect. It's just your typical China letter where it just has internal lighting within the letter, and then the light will be coming out from the front.
And is it going to be uniform in terms of wattage and brightness for each piece of this? Because obviously the white and the yellow are going to be brighter at night and potentially more garish at night than the darker chicken. Whereas you have uniformity with the UPS store and Starbucks. You have uniformity across the logo, across the signage. Those are dark green and brown, so they're more subtle colors. How are you going to ensure there's uniform? I mean, is there going to be uniformity, or is the white going to seem very bright, the yellow going to seem very bright?
The brightness level is going to be the same. For the white, we're actually going to be using not much of a translucent white. So there's going to be a lot more, it's going to be less translucent than how do I say it? There's going to be less coming directly from the white logo because we're going to be using an acrylic that that illuminates less. Now for the brown and the yellow, we're going to be doing a vinyl overlay, so then that kind of dims down the illumination as well. So at the end, it's going to be at the same level.
Okay, are there other questions for the applicant from committee members? Yes, please, Committee Member Chow.
Should I stop sharing or?
Yes, please. Yeah,
okay.
Can you stop sharing?
Sorry.
Thank you. My question, two follow-up questions, sort of. One is the size, regarding the size. One is the position. Size-wise, you're presenting 140 inches wide. Chair Batnedge had kind of pointed this out, asked this question earlier, like, can we clarify how does this compare to the UPS sign? That was exactly my question when I visited the job site. I tried to get a front view so I can compare, just judging by the size of the awning. I think it's close enough, but maybe you can tell us, have you done your research, your comparison, 140 inches versus the size of the UPS sign? That's the first question. And then the second question is that you kind of addressed that a little bit. I find the picture, at least you showed here on page, I believe is, I don't want to misguide everybody. On the page here, it seems like your sign is quite high. So maybe you can just clarify that you're gonna pretty much center your sign top to bottom. Thanks.
Okay, so for the first question, I don't have the UPS store's size. What we went based off of is what the maximum square footage is. And when I was speaking with Marlene, he said it needed to be, I think, less than 4% of the building facade of the facade, and that's what we based off of. I mean, technically, this sign was actually bigger, but we did shrink it. Also, regarding the lining up of the sign, I mean, right now it's not centered again on the wall. Like there's no equal spacing within that sign area. Is because UPS store wasn't leveled either. So since this is the newer sign that's actually going in, we decided to just go ahead and level it with the UPS store.
Well, when you say leveled it, that's a little bit.
I mean, it's gonna be on the same line.
Okay, so what I'm talking about is the spacing between, I mean, above chicken and below chicken. So if you see UPS store, well, I'm not talking about the shield, is definitely more centered. And if you look at the San Marino cleaners, is definitely not centered. It's more like toward the rooftop. So that's just something I want to point out. So that could be one thing that we want to address down the line, depending on other committee members' input.
Well, maybe I can help on that a little bit. I think your detailed drawing, as I said earlier, isn't correct. meaning that in order for them to even bring the power through the wall onto the roof line actually is higher, and that's why he had no choice. Same with the UPS and the other one, I don't think, Mr. Kim, you have go to the back and checked it. In order for you to bring the power through the parapet wall and bring it to the sign line, you already higher than the middle point. And therefore, you really cannot lower it much. If you lower it much, you will be running into the below the roof line. So you may have some problem. You have to get into the ceiling to do it. That's the reason why I asked you earlier. So each letter is individually penetrate through the parapet wall into a separate switch, or you're running. That's what I don't understand how you're gonna do it. Usually there's a raceway behind it. All the letters run behind it, and then you're not running a hole through every single one. What do you know how these being constructed?
So yeah, I mean, yes, you're correct. There is an raceway on the backside. Each letter is penetrated through the wall, and I mean that's where all the wiring is going to be concealed within inside the raceway.
Right. So you didn't show the raceway. That's what I don't understand. And the raceway actually, in fact, is higher because your roof line and your sign location is incorrect. So therefore, when the commissioner asked you about, Rick asked you, why can't you lower it? Because I don't think you can lower it. If you lower it, your raceway will be inside the building.
Yes,
in the
that's
roof
correct.
line, other than above the roof line. That's why you got stuck with it.
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
Are there any questions for the applicant from committee members? So I actually have one. I'm not really clear. I think from what I understand from both my comment earlier and committee member Chow's comment about the size, you're not sure how the size of meaning the overall size of the letters and the logo compares to the overall size and the letters and the logo next door at the UPS store. Like you didn't measure, you're not sure. Is that correct? You measured it according to the 4% that you had to maximize. Is that right?
So when we go out to a job site, I mean, obviously, depending on the sign and depending on, everybody has size differences. I mean, not every shopping center has has all the same size. So what we do is we base it off the wall area, and then we determine what the city allows regarding this, because every city has different codes.
Okay, yes, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, I have one more question for the applicant.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you share with us the 3 colors that you have side by side, since you were able to share? I want to see the yellow, I want to see the brown, I want to see the red. Can you, because what worries me is once we approve that,
I see. Okay.
With all 3 different colors that we have no idea, and then we got some shocking color.
Yeah, so, you're right. I'll go ahead and show it to you while
yeah, if we can put the 3 together, at least we know what we're approving.
Oh, you want us to put you want me to put the 3 together? Okay.
No, I just want to see the brown and that yellow that you were thinking, and then I want to know that red for the chicken. What red are we talking about? It could be orange red, it could be a blood red or a dark red. We need to know what we're approving.
Sure. Hold on one sec.
Otherwise, we'll be a big surprise once it's up, and then the whole neighborhood hated it, and then we got blamed. We see it now, but then there's no brown one. I thought earlier.
Okay, so this brown is right here.
Okay, that brown.
So this company has, it's Oracle 8500 series.
Okay.
I mean, the durability is there. I mean, this is a translucent vinyl, and this is brown.
Okay, that's dark brown, and then you got the yellow. What is it, 80 what? What was the number?
coffee brown is 88.
80, 88, and then the other one is
so golden yellow is 02.
Okay, two.
Oh, I'm sorry. 020.
Oh, 020.
And then red is red.
Red is which one?
031.
031.
Yeah, 031.
Okay. All right.
And the series is 8500.
So this is the panel that you put out. And then you will not put anything on the white. So the white is just the clear, the original white color for the logo.
So the white part is going to be on acrylic, and then we're going to be cutting pieces of the vinyl and then making it into that shape. So we're still incorporating the coffee brown, and we're incorporating the red and the yellow.
You lost me for a while. So you got the piece of white plexiglass.
Yes.
And then you're cutting this red into the chicken shape.
It's gonna be. I'm sorry.
It'll be worse. How are you gonna do that? I just want to know how that.
So
logo.
What do you call that? The beak. the red that you see there, it's
right.
red. It's red, and then it's going to be cut into that shape. The brown is actually going to be cut into that vinyl, the shape, and it's going to be placed on top.
Well, the brown and the yellow is the full letter anyway.
Yes.
Right?
So the brown and the yellow, the acrylic's going to be cut to, like for instance, the C. We're going to be covering the C completely.
We understand that.
Okay.
We understand that. Yeah, that's you have the channel letter, the whole channel letter, that whole C is the brown acrylic piece of C. And that's whole thing light up at night. I understand that.
Yes. For the white, it's gonna be vinyl cut sticker into that shape. What you see there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the chicken shape, it's black and white, or dark brown and white.
It says dark brown. I mean, the chicken shape is dark brown because the white is the acrylic.
So and there's no black at all. There's no black.
No black. No.
Okay, so it's brown, red, and yellow.
That's yes, those three colors.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other questions from committee members for the applicant?
Well, I just may I ask a question? Thank you.
Yes.
I just earlier you said that the applicant had designated yellow, but that tonight you see that maybe the golden yellow is more appropriate. So are you sure that is 020 as opposed to 021?
It's going to be 020 golden yellow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we will now open this up for public comments. Is there anyone here from the public who would like to speak for, against, or about the project? Okay, seeing none, I will now close the public hearing. I would like to now open this up for committee member discussion. I'll just go in reverse order from what I did last time. So committee member Tony Chow.
My only comment is, to the applicant, Chris, I think it's probably, as you're hearing, is sizing and the font. I know that's up to the real applicant, but I think if you can either kind of level out the font or, resize slightly, I think that would help your case a lot.
Okay, committee member Rick Chow.
Yes, my take on this this project is this. I do have some concern about the size, possibly the font, but font-wise, to me, that's more of a logo, even that is not a kind of a established brand. But they're entitled to have their logo. Maybe we can ask them to change things. That's one thing. size-wise, perhaps it can be smaller. But my main question, comment is really a question to the committee is that, I mean, back in August, when we had this other proposal just across the street, basically diagonally, that was the San Marino Pediatric Dentistry. At that point, they presented, okay, we have in the legal neighborhood all these other illuminated signs, but the questions asked at that point was, okay, were these signs actually approved by DRC? So my understanding from the information I got from the staff was that during the time from September 2013 to October 2018, that's almost 5 years. During that time, the DRC had no say about commercial signs ordinance. So what I'm trying to figure out, my question again is that, you know, are we going to trying to be consistent, meaning that if we denied the sign across the street, if we denied the sign from DeVita, that's a different kind of a legal neighborhood. But across the street, that's certainly, I would think it's in the legal neighborhood. How are we going to be consistent if we say approve this project? That's kind of my main question. So I'm interested to hear comments from my colleagues.
Committee Member Chow, I do have one comment to that effect. You did post that question earlier in the day, and I did do some research because I thought it may come up. I did find permits actually exclusively for this building that were approved prior to the ordinance that temporarily removed the jurisdiction or for the design review committee for signs. And there are several instances where the DRC did approve illuminated wall signs specifically on this building. At least five instances that I'm looking at in this permit package that I did print out here. So there were illuminated wall signs there prior to the 2013 date, which I believe Eva provided to you as the date where that ordinance took effect and then ended in 2018. So there are examples of that.
Okay, so sorry if I didn't understand exactly what you're saying. Just to confirm, so you're saying that, so the information I got from staff was saying that the ordinance allowed commercial signs under staff level review without DRC hearings from September 2013 to October 2018. But you were saying that either before or during, I mean, either before or after that period, the DRC had also approved some illuminated signs?
That's correct. What I found were all before. I don't, I could be wrong, but I don't know if there have been any new businesses that have required new wall signs. I only looked on this building specifically. Since 2018, I don't know if there have been any new businesses that have requested new wall signs, but prior to the 2013 date of the adoption of that ordinance, which ended 5 years later, there have been numerous examples of illuminated wall signs at this building, and particularly at this tenant space.
Thank you, thank you. So again, just to wrap up my comment / question is that how do we keep consistency that reviewing back to the San Marino Pediatric Dentistry illuminated sign, which was denied because the DRC, I think, either by unanimous vote or majority vote, deemed it incompatible. I mean, how is this one different?
Okay. Thank you for your comments. The next we have Committee Member Cheng.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Maybe I can shed some experience like on this. I've been on the DRC and the Planning Commission for many, many years. I personally have approved a few of these wall illuminated signs, including the UPS sign next door. I remember whether they went to Planning Commission for the approval or on the DRC when I was there years ago. I remember that sign because I remember out there. I think signage has to be looked at a little differently. On one hand, we want to make sure the commercial property can survive and do the business. It is important for us to help them to be successful. But then on the other hand, these signs are not meant to be an advertising billboard at night. So that's the balance I looked at. I was not involved in the last one Commissioner Chow was talking about. Was it a professional type business? I think if it's like a dentistry business or podiatrist versus a chicken fast food business, I think the outcome and the standard that we would approve it will probably look differently. I personally look at these as probably one of the busiest corner right next to Starbucks with a lot of foot traffic, and we want the business to survive. So I'm not too offended by the happy looking at the chicken and the name and the color, because we want that sign to be visible during business hour. I don't know about personally, I like to see it at 3 o'clock in the morning. There is no need. The business is closed. There's no need to keep that light on. And when you drive at night, I don't want to see a bunch of lit signs that a business are closed. So if I were to approve this, I would make sure that when the business is closed, within 30 minutes, the sign is off. During the day, it's fine. I understand that. The people can see it, but at nighttime, if it gets dark early, business still on, then we can keep it lit. So that will be on timer. Other than that, I think overall it's okay, but I like to keep the logo no bigger than the UPS logo. And then I think the sign position, I think the applicant need to go back and check the backside and try to bring it as low as possible to match the UPS sign. And I think I can work with it. That's my comment.
Okay, thank you. Committee Member McKay.
Thank you. I don't feel that after the presentation that we've had that I'm satisfied with confidence that enough research has been done as to the color and the placement and the size of the sign, how the three pieces come together, particularly the illumination. The color of the yellow was changed even during the presentation. I don't think that the questions about illumination were answered to my satisfaction, such that I can feel confident that the sign is going to be compatible with the signs located in the adjacent area. And part of that is because I think that the UPS store, the Starbucks, because of the nature of the colors, because of the uniformity of the letters, and because I think that, and I was not present, I was not on the committee or the Planning Commission, whoever approved either one of those, but I think there are too many questions and open questions as to how this is going to be placed, how big it's going to be, what it's going to look like when it's lit, what the hue is going to be, what the tone is going to be, how the three pieces are going to come together, because we have the lettering is not uniform. We have three very separate pieces that are trying to come together in the sign. I don't see any signs like that in the legal neighborhood. So those are my concerns.
Thank you. Committee Member Wong.
I echo many of the comments made. I'm very uncertain about how a corporate logo design can be switched as easy as to changing the hue from Oracle 21 to 20. any mature brand would forbid that from happening. And we are here to support businesses in San Marino, and we welcome new players as well. But I am just not sure that is a good reflection of what eventually the outcome will be. And I share with Committee Member Chang's comment as well that San Marino want to keep a small town feel while having vibrant business life. So a after dark lit main street is probably not what we want. We are not Ginza, we are not Gangnam district. We do want the area to be quiet as it should be at the right hours of the day. So for me to support it, I would like to see how the final design agreed not only by the designer of the signage, but also the owner would be, if there could be illustration of how it did look like in his headquarters area, country, whatnot, that would be great. And how would they compare with the immediate neighbors, both lit and natural during daylight? That would really help us all understand and put our confidence vote to that. And I'll also like to see if timer can be made. I'm sure timer can be made so that we don't waste energy, that we don't lit up the whole street unnecessarily. I think that would be what I would like to see and be ready to support the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee Member Lakon?
Yes, thank you. My first concern is the size of the sign as a whole, especially the chicken logo. To me, the logo looks larger than the UPS logo. I think the entire sign needs to be taken down in size. The frontage of the restaurant appears to be much narrower than the UPS store. So I would think that the sign should be at least the size as a UPS sign or smaller. I'd also like to see it more uniform, like Commissioner McKay was saying, with the illumination with the lights from Starbucks to the UPS store. I think that we have to be careful that the center has a much more of a nice rhythm so that we don't see a big, large, jarring Chickenteria sign distracting from the rest of the building. It needs to all work together as a whole. So that would be my first comment about size. And then the second is that was brought up on the timer, and I think that was excellent. I could only support it with the timer, not for it to stay on all night. I think that is everyone else. I agree with all the other commissioners, and I would not be able to support it tonight.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just try to sum up. What I have heard is that every single commissioner, including myself, we all have some concern and reservations over what has been put in front of us. Whether we're more critical or less, everybody has reservations. It seems the reservations I hear are regarding the size, are regarding the illumination, are regarding the, let's say, compatibility or similarity or differences to the UPS store next door and to some extent the Starbucks. I think the colors, there's been a lot of discussion about that it's very color, there's a lot of color, whereas the other signs have almost no color. So that's what I hear from other people, and I agree with all of those comments. I think that there is a reason why the DRC or perhaps Planning Commission approved the signs there as they are. They're fairly, there was a willingness to have some illumination for that corner because it's a little bit of a commercial corner, I suppose, with a lot of traffic and on a very big street. But it was done in a very careful way. As Committee Member Chang said, it was, these things were done very mindfully. And what I see is, you know, almost monochromatic, if not totally monochromatic, signage that is very subtly illuminated. And I think that I could support a backlighting on this sign. I would be much more for this project if this was a backlit sign, because that would give, I think that this kind of a business needs to be lit up at night. They're going to have a lot of business in the evenings, and I think that they need that lighting. And as been mentioned, that's a proper support for this particular business. I think backlighting would be in the evening would be a lot more subtle and understated and elegant and match the lighting that is already existing there. I think that that is especially the case given that this is something that is colorful, that's got a lot of colors going on. So it's a balance. If there's going to be color, I think the size needs to be reduced, and I think that the lighting needs to be very subtle. So I think that the applicant, personally, I think that the applicant should come back and really clarify exactly what colors are being used if they choose to continue using a color. Really think about what they're willing to give up, because as I said, I believe it's a balancing act between these issues of how big it is, how colorful it is, and how lit it is, how illuminated it is, let's say, and in what type of illumination. And it does seem like you've gotten a lot of feedback from the committee. The committee seems very concerned about what you have submitted and would like you to make changes. So please take those changes to heart. We don't want to come and see, we don't want to see this, you know, in front of us 3 more times. We want you to address what we've said, which are our concerns about size, our concerns about color, our concerns about illumination, and what type of illumination, and the size in relation to the neighboring UPS store, and the fact that your frontage is narrower than the UPS store means that it should probably be smaller in size than that logo and sign next door. So with that, do we have a motion?
Actually, I kind of wanted to kind of comment on.
We have closed the portion of the evening where applicants are contributing. We had quite a lot of time with you discussing, going back and forth in discussions. So please take the comments to heart. I'm now asking again for a motion, unless I would like to ask if the committee members would like, given that what we've just heard from each other, do the committee members have anything that they would like to add, having heard the discussion amongst ourselves?
I'll add the timer is a possible plus to the case. Timer for the lighting.
Yes, I would like to add to the list of the things that committee members brought up is that, yes, consistently committee members brought up the issue of having a timer that would automatically turn off the light at a time that would be at or very soon after closing for the business. Thank you for reminding me of that. What else came up in the discussion that committee members would like to mention, comment, repeat, oppose, confirm?
If I may just make one more quick comment.
Yes, certainly.
I think the applicant should really take it to heart, as all the comments made earlier, including the actual construction of the sign. I think we talked about measuring the correct location where the sign goes, both in width and in height. And also, because of the color options, there are many other options. They can have the color during the day, and those signs become white at night, with that 3M that I was talking about. There are many options nowadays that they can be a lot more subdued during the evening, rather than have this bright color coming out, like Las Vegas. So it's not that there are many options. So maybe he should take it to heart and restudy the option. And if they were to come back with this corporate color, I think it is important that in our submission that they should bring back the actual cut sheet of the color that we can see them side by side so that Planning Commission can match the color once it's approved. Because as they arbitrarily change the color during the presentation is not going to help us at the end. That I worry about that brown color too. With the light, we can never tell how that brown will come out at night to look cool.
Okay. Thank you, Committee Member Chang. I very much agree with your comments, and I think that's a really good point that it seems that there is some support among this committee that the applicant look into ways that is particularly during the evening that this can be a much more subtle look for that for that sign. Okay, if there is any other discussion, is there any other discussion among committee members? Okay, with that, I would like to ask for a motion.
I move to continue DRC 20-42 to the next scheduled meeting, I guess.
Okay, I'll second that.
Sorry, just to clarify, the next scheduled meeting is for October 21st. That agenda is now full. So it would have to be to the November 4th meeting.
November 14th?
4th, sorry, 4th.
November 4th.
Okay, is that acceptable to the applicant, the November 4th meeting?
Yes, it seems like we might have to change a lot of things. So yeah, I might have to talk with the customer regarding this before I can confirm that time.
You would need to provide plans to staff by the October 27th. Otherwise, the next meeting would be December 2nd.
Oh, yeah, we'll do.
For the November meeting?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now it seems like we're gonna need to change a lot of stuff in order to actually get this approved. Just might be a brand new sign in general.
Okay, so just confirming that you intend to have plans in time for the November 4th meeting.
Yeah, I will try my best, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have seconded the motion. Can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Committee Member McKay?
Yes.
Committee Member Lakon?
Yes.
Committee Member Chang?
Yes.
Vice Chair Wong?
Yes.
And Chair Batnish?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we now move on to design review case number DRC 20-32, 1720 Las Flores Avenue. Could we have the staff report, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This project, the applicant is requesting to install a roofing material that is not on the city's pre-approved list. And that's because the existing home is improved with a natural wood shake material. The request is for a material called Serpentine Presidential Shake TL. It is a composition shingle fiberglass material. And the particular color that the applicant wishes to use is H bark color. It is a combination of dark brown colors. Staff is able to support the request for this particular product and color because there are similar products found within the legal neighborhood. Staff finds that the proposed color allows the homes to maintain its current compatibility and would not alter the streetscape for this corner property. For that reason, staff is supporting the request for this material and color. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from committee members to staff?
I have a question.
Yes.
My question was the roofing material that proposing. Did you say it was the presidential TL or the presidential?
So in the staff report, there is an error. I had mistakenly identified the proposed material as only presidential shake, but the original letter and application submitted by the property owner clearly stated that it is the presidential shake TL product, which is a product that consists of 3 layers of the fiberglass shingle material versus the 2-layer that I had incorrectly identified in the staff report. So it is the presidential shake TL product.
Okay,
thank you.
So Ms. Choi,
yes,
I had the same question, and I'm very relieved to know that it's the presidential TL. How, because the staff report doesn't specify it, and in this case, not specifying it kind of means that it's another type of roof shingle. Is there a way, do we just clarify that in the motion? If there is a motion made about this, we would just clarify that we, move to approve or not approve, whatever, but we would have to specify it. And, or is there a technical issue that needs to be worked out based on the fact that the staff report doesn't say TL, which I only noticed minutes before this meeting, I'm sorry.
Yes, it was actually pointed out to me earlier by committee member Lakon. No, the staff report did provided the analysis on the fact that there are other fiberglass shingle material within the neighborhood. So for compatibility reason, the evaluation remained valid. It is a issue that can be clarified with your motion to clearly identify that it is a TL product. It is manufactured by the same company. It is the same color as mentioned in the staff report. The only difference is that the TL product actually is a triple laminated product, which provides 3 layers of the same material stacked together to provide more texture in the appearance versus the regular presidential shake material, which is only 2 layers. So the TL product, in the opinion of staff, is provide a better appearance because it provides more texture. So it's a superior product.
Right, and am I correct that, okay, yes, so got it. So we will just make, if there is a motion regarding this, we will just specify that it is approved on the condition that, I mean, if there is a motion like this, that it would be specified that it's the TL. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Staff, can you confirm that this particular brand, presidential shake TL, has been used in some other properties in the city, but this particular tone or color hue, aged bark, is the very first time? Is the statement correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
I have a question. I don't know if this is the kind of thing that you discuss with applicants, but was there, which is the color that is approved for this?
So on the city's pre-approved list, the presidential product, the only color that is approved on the city's pre-approved list is country gray.
Or country gray, okay.
Correct.
I thought I was wondering because I didn't see it here and I knew it was something gray. And I see just shadow gray here, but that's, oh, maybe that's just for the presidential and I need to look at the presidential TL maybe. Okay, and I mean, was the homeowner objecting to use that color for some reason or didn't think it was suitable, or do you not get into that level of, detail?
I didn't discuss the option of using another color with the homeowner because the fact that the home and the detached garage currently has wood shake on the home. So it does not meet the prerequisites for the homeowner to simply change the material to the composition fiberglass material that he's requesting. So on the notion that his request has to come in front of the design review committee, he was encouraged to find a color that is suitable for the home. And in this case, we feel that the H-bark color is an appropriate color.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, is the applicant or applicant's representative here to briefly present the project? Do we not have the applicant or applicant's representative present? Okay, it seems that maybe we don't. So we will now move on to the public comment. I mean, there's no point to open to committee member questions because there is no applicant or applicant's representative to ask. So I'll move on to public comments. Are there any members of the public here to speak for, against, or about the project? Okay, seeing none, we will now close the public portion of, we will close the public hearing and now move on to committee member comments. So I'll do it in inverse order now. Committee member Cheng.
I think the color is the darker color, the H bar color is probably more appropriate. And based on what staff further clarification on the material with the TL, I think that would be appropriate. And because it does give it a little thicker look and give it a little bit more body to the material. So I can go with that clarification with that color. So I can support the project as presented and amended by staff.
Okay, committee member McKay.
Thank you. Similarly, I appreciate the clarification made by Chair Batnage and Committee Member Lakon, clarifying that it is the presidential TL. So that appears to be acceptable. I would have liked to see the H bark actually somewhere in the city, so I could see that in application, but I understand why the applicant wanted that for their particular property. So I don't think I have any other comment. It would have been nice to have the applicant here, but I have no other comment right now.
Okay, thank you. Committee member Wong.
I find the case pretty straightforward. The house has a fairly low pitch, and the existing actual wood would be well replaced with a presidential TL shake tri-hue color, which is in aged bark. I have no problem supporting this proposal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Committee member Lakon.
Yes, I can support the presidential shake TL. I don't find the H bark to be compatible with the neighborhood, and I think that is a tough color, and I would rather see it as a country gray. But I could support the H bark, but I would rather see it country gray. I think that would look nicer in the neighborhood and on the block. I think that the country gray is the approved color, and I think it mimics more of a wood shake better than the H bark. But there's one thing I'd like to clarify is that on the pre-approved roofing material list, there are requirements that when the presidential TL is used, that the gutters have to remain to cover the edges, and a few other requirements for are noted here. So if we make a motion to approve, I think that we should specify that these finishes should be completed as well as per the pre-approved list. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Committee member Tony Chow.
Nothing to add. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Committee member Rick Chow.
Yes, I basically like to echo committee member Lacan's views. I think I always struggle a little bit when we have these updates on roofing materials, because I mean, by guidelines, there are certain prerequisites that need to be met. However, I understand also that we have some catching up to do in terms of updating our lists. So, having said that, I think that I would be more comfortable even approval with the presidential TL, but more comfortable with the color that's on the list. So which is the country gray. That would be my take on this.
Okay. So I am in agreement with, so just to sum up first the discussion so far, we have, it seems, uniform willingness to use the presidential TL shake, but we have some division on whether or not this is the right color. I share personally the view. I agree that this presidential TL will is appropriate for this type of home to use, but you know, I tried to find it because we didn't, in absence of finding a house in San Marino that's got this particular color, because I didn't think that it looked like the right color. It's a very warm color and it seems to be quite warm. And so I went, you know, having no other choice, I went to the internet to try to find pictures of this presidential TL in this color. And, you know, I wish I could show you, but it's kind of like a multi-color look that's very warm. And when I look at the parts of the brochure that they showed us these colors, you know, it seems also quite like warm and kind of multicolored look. Whereas these three colors over here, which are classic weathered wood, shadow gray, which I think is the same as country gray for the TL. And even the one just right next to it, autumn blend, is less multicolor. I would much rather see one of those. I'm afraid this might stick out like a sore thumb actually on this street, but it's not very easy for me to determine that since I haven't been able to see it on an actual house. So my instinct is, because we haven't been able to see it on an actual house in San Marino, is not really to test it out on this house that has a very high, well, not very high, but a very noticeable roof pitch. And I don't think it's a good time to take a risk on that, because I'd rather be given some addresses where I can see this color. And I would much prefer for the applicant to propose either the country gray or some of the other less warm, less multicolored, more neutral and darker tones. I don't think it has to necessarily be the country gray, but I think that would be a much better choice. So of course the applicant, you know, should be able to make that choice. So we have, I guess that's the end of my own comments. And now I would like to ask for a motion. Okay, Committee Member Wong.
For the sake of prudence, because we see the colors differently from an internet website versus the presentation material. So I would rather to have the applicant present and show us some real samples. So I'll move to continue DRC case 20-32. So that hopefully we'll see some real samples and comparative samples even better.
Okay, I think that's an excellent idea. I second that motion.
Good idea.
Okay, we have a second from me. So could we have, well, do we need to ask the applicant who's not here if we can put them on the November 4th agenda? What do we do about that, Ms. Choi?
So given that with the absence of the applicant, the committee can simply extend it to a future date, being that the required action date is November 17th. If we continue the project to November 4th, that is within and prior to the required action date. So the city is okay on that end. We can just simply continue the project to November 4th.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so can we have the roll call then?
Sure. Committee Member McKay?
Yes.
Committee Member Lakon?
Yes.
Committee Member Chang?
Yes.
Vice Chair Wong?
Yes.
And Chair Batnich?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we now move on to design review case number DRC 20-49, 1512 Kensington Road. Could we have the staff report, please?
Thank you, Chair. This is a request to install a roofing product called Tilcor Steel Shake roofing material in the birch color on the existing one-story home and detached garage. The proposed material in the ironstone color is actually installed on the immediate north neighbor's home, and that installation was approved with by the DRC in 2017. Before going to the staff report, staff would like to point out that earlier this morning, a neighbor within the legal neighborhood submitted an objection letter, and which was then related to the staff, to the committee today. And so that would change the tally on the staff report, and that is on the second page of the staff report. So at this time, the total approved neighbor's letter stands at 2, objection letter is at 1, and no response at 11. Staff is able to support the request for the steel shake material, given that there are other synthetic roofing material within the legal neighborhood, and that and with the condition stated in the staff report, typically in the past with this particular material, the design review committee would impose a condition that a low profile ridge tile be installed, and the roofing contractor had shared with the committee that he has custom made or essentially custom made these low profile ridge tiles for each project. And he will continue to do that for this project as well. But staff would like to recommend that this condition be placed on this project if the committee so wish to consider approving it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from committee members to staff? Okay, seeing none, is the applicant or applicant's representative here to briefly present the project?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Please state your name and address and then briefly present your project.
Robert Lansford, Lansford Roofing. Similar material that we've been trying to propose here for the number of years. Lightweight steel, walkable, 4 times lighter than the Cedar Light, 20-year no fade warranty, unlike Cedar Light, won't crack, 45% cooler than Cedar Light. So that's what the homeowner would like on her house. The neighbor next door is very happy with his roof, and she wants something that's walkable.
Okay, are there any questions from the committee for the applicant's representative? Seeing none, We will now go to public comments. Are there any members of the public here to speak for, against, or about the project? Or yes, about this. Okay, seeing none, we will now close the public hearing, and we will now move on to committee member comments. We start with committee member Lakon.
Thank you. As I said about this product in the past, I don't think it's a good choice for a wood shake replacement aesthetically. On this block particularly, there is a lot of material that has been replaced, and I see most of it is cedar light. I think it just has a more natural look if we have to use something synthetic, and I would like to see a different option other than this particular Tilcor steel shake, which I find not appropriate for that neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Committee member Wong?
I see it a little differently. I think, first of all, the roof structure is quite of a low profile one, low pitch, and the immediate neighbor's use of similar material is giving the consistency or harmonious feel of this proposed case. So I understand there might be other options, but I think this is a reasonable option. So I see ground to support this case.
Okay, committee member McKay. Committee member.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yes, sorry.
I could only support this with the conditions of, you know, for installing the low profile ridge tiles as recommended by staff. I am concerned about the birch color. I recognize that this similar material has been used, and I did drive the neighborhood and see that not in the same color. So I could support it only with those conditions.
Okay, thank you. Committee member Cheng.
For all this year, we've been trying to find something that is workable, non-flammable, good replacement that shows the aesthetic value. It's been a challenge over these years. Now that the shake roof are practically no longer acceptable for fire protection purpose. So we have a project that the immediate neighbor has the same product, I believe. And unless we can suggest some material that are workable and it's going to be appropriate, being a neighbor wanted to do something to replace a roof that are walkable, that are fire protected, and is sustainable. It's unfortunately that there's not that many good material around. So it's been a challenge to the industry, to our homeowners. So with that said, I guess I can go along because the neighbor had used it, we approved it, and for us to tell them that that's not the right thing for you, it's going to be hard to justify. So I'll go along with this application.
Thank you. Committee member Rick Chow.
Yes, my view on this is when I drove the block up and down the legal neighborhood, all you see except that Tilcor, the existing one house Tilcor with the Tilcor tiles, everything you see is earth tone, is very organic, even including some of the newer roof materials. So I think there are choices out there that can be had to upgrade the existing roofs, but still to keep that organic look. I understand that 1500 has next door north neighbor has basically the exact same roof and just a different color. And frankly, I don't care for that look. I think it's very artificial. It's very rigid. If you look at the house, it has such a wide front with this just horizontal lines with no depth. I actually find that quite, incompatible. Of course, that's our being approved. So the question is like, do we want to continue approving something that if the committee doesn't find it's compatible? So my view is that we should try to find, I would encourage the applicant to find something that's more compatible or more earth tone. And I mean, this is a house at Monterey corner. It's you drive by it, you look at the house. I mean, I don't think personally, I want to see another house like the next door north neighbor in terms of the roof.
Thank you. Committee member Tony Chow.
Yeah, I kind of echo what Commissioner Chang said. I think the problem is really there for the fundamental uses of this and for the safety. It seems like one of few options. In terms of color, I mean, I looked at the other one and I do think birch is a better aesthetic than if they were to use ironstone. But I also wasn't, I'm pretty new to the committee, so I'm not too familiar with the neighbors' process that they went through.
Okay, that leaves me. So what we have from the committee is we have mixed reaction from the committee so far. We have 2 neutral to somewhat positive comments from committee members, 1 squarely positive and 1 quite negative. Where I fall on, and then we have, sorry, from the alternate committee members, we have 1 positive and one fairly positive and 1 very negative. So I am on the negative, very much on the negative side of this. I don't find this material to be at all an appropriate substitute for wood shake. And I'm very well aware of the deficiencies of our choices. Our choices are, we don't have that many choices, but we do have choices already on the list. We have several. Not all of them are tiles that are going to crack. We do need to keep open minds and try to find more, try to find more roofing materials that are suitable on some of our more traditional architecture in town. I found the horizontal lines, it's just all I saw when I looked at the house that has this. It's just all I couldn't see wood shake. I couldn't even say kind of wood shake. It just doesn't look natural at all. It looks very manufactured. And I can't support this at all. I can't support it on this house, and I don't think I can support it on any other house in San Marino, although I will keep an open mind. There may be some cases where it might, I'm just going to keep an open mind and keep looking at this. And, maybe there will be one day a house where I say that might look okay, but I haven't seen one yet. And I'm also not sure about the color either. It seems, I'm not sure about the color either. I also want to say that we're having trouble with roofing materials in the city. I mean, I think we all can acknowledge that we're having a lot of difficulty. And I really wonder why we have a ban on wood shake. I understand that City of LA has a ban on wood shake, but I'm not really sure why we have a ban on wood shake. I do know that safety is a concern. However, there are, I believe, wood shake that are flame retardant and that are treated well. And I think that as a city, we need to really ask ourselves why we're not allowing any wood shake, because we have a town with very traditional architecture that really needs wood shake to be, to fulfill our architectural compatibility within itself and to provide the traditional architectural look. It needs to be an option, I personally believe. So I hope that our city will reconsider. I believe, I've been told, I have not confirmed it, I believe that Pasadena does not ban wood shake for the same reasons as I've given, that they feel that the city feels that they have enough traditional architecture that it makes it very, very hard for them to completely ban wood shake. I think that we could take a new look at wood shake and ask ourselves if there are some wood shake options that are fire retardant enough to be a reasonable, to provide a reasonable balance between the look, the traditional look, and the safety needs of our residents. So that's a little bit of an aside, but I would like to put that out there. So coming back to this particular home, I don't think that this is compatible, despite the fact that this is next door. I don't think it's compatible with the neighborhood because of these very horizontal lines, that it has this look that it just looks very artificial to me. I will try to keep an open mind about this product and see if there is some color or some type of architecture that it might look more or less unnatural on. But that is where I stand on this. So do we have a motion?
Excuse me, the Robert wanted to say something because I'm the Masumi Tai. I'm sorry I missed the opportunity to present myself. I'm the resident is 1512 Kensington Road.
I'm sorry. To try to be fair, I will give you the chance to speak, despite the fact that you were not here, I understand, during the time of that we were asking if the applicant was here, but I will give you the chance, but you need to keep it down to under 30 seconds. I hope that you find that reasonable, that I'm giving you a chance to speak.
My house is the hip roof, and then our neighbor is a gable roof. So it might be a big difference from our next door neighbor, north neighbor.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, going back to committee member discussion, I would like to ask if the committee would like to add anything to the discussion, having heard from each other and making points about the points that have been made by your fellow committee members.
Let me make one quick comment on the flammability of the we had actually a few years back, the fire chief of San Marino had stopped by one of our meetings and actually informed us that there is no thick roof that today can meet the fire requirement. And I think maybe we should ask Eva to reach out to the fire department and reconfirm that that statement, because I think it's important for the committee member to understand that where we stand and code-wise, whether a replaced hip roof, which is practically just a wood roof. Can it be treated and still provide a kind of fire rating that the code requires? I believe the fire department, the fire chief had stopped by and told us that it will not be at all advisable at all. So I appreciate all the comments made about aesthetic and all of that. I'm not saying that this may be the only solution, but unfortunately, we just need to work harder on trying to approve more options for our residents, so they have a better option when they come to replacement of roof. So that I just want to make that comment. Eva, can you take that, maybe just run it by the fire chief and make sure that we get the correct information moving forward?
Yeah, yes. And, you know, besides just, I mean, I think we need to acknowledge that, you know, the fire chief would love to rule out, you know, wood shake roofs, because it probably statistically any number of more wood shake roofs probably does, you know, add to some risk. You know, it kind of goes to, you don't ask your barber if you need a haircut, but you do consult and you ask and you find information. And in addition to talking to our fire department, I think it's good to talk to roofing suppliers and roofing companies to see, you know, what kinds of wood shake roofs are the, you know, I know that there is some treatment, that there are some wood shake roofs that are treated to become more fire retardant. And it just may be worth looking at, instead of saying that there is no house in San Marino that can have it. I think we have, as a committee, approved more consideration. I think we've been trying to consider and more roofing materials. I know we have approved many more non-wood shake roofing materials and projects, and we're seeing what they look like on homes, and we're learning from that. And and I think that there have been several roofing materials that have been approved in the past couple of years, but we do need more. We need more options for sure. So I appreciate this, you indulging me in this little side discussion. Is there any more committee? Are there any other comments? Okay, so with that, I would like to ask for a motion.
I'll move to approve
sorry.
DRC case 20-49 with a condition to install low profile ridge tiles.
I second the motion.
Okay, could we have a roll call?
Committee Member McKay?
No.
Committee Member Lakon?
No.
Committee Member Chang?
Yes.
Vice Chair Wong?
Yes.
And Chair Batnich?
No.
Motion fails.
Do we have another motion?
I guess the motion is to what, to continue this, or you're going to deny it, period? I just want to see how, you know, fairness to the property owner, they want to have something done, and we can deny it. They have to come back with a different material, or we continue it so they can find a proper material. So if that's the case, I guess I can make a motion to continue. Because,
okay, are you making a motion to continue?
Yeah, I guess so. If the motion did not go through, so I'll make a motion to continue DRC case number 20-49. Yeah, 49. 19 or 49? 49.
49.
1512 Kensington Road to.
Okay. And I will second that motion. I think the homeowner certainly deserves to be able to come back with an alternative.
Okay.
Okay.
Call?
Sure. Committee Member McKay?
Yes.
Committee Member Lakon?
Yes.
Committee Member Chang?
Yes.
Vice Chair Wong?
Yes.
And Chair Batnich?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so we now move on to, well, actually, this is something I think that is usually presented by staff, or should I introduce the extension request for design review case number DRC 18-76?
Thank you, Chair. This is a design review approval extension request for the property located at 1735 West Drive. The original design review approval was for a 1- and 2-story addition that was granted back in November of 2019. Staff has provided in the staff report a table listing the property owners has taken the appropriate staff to exercise his right to implement the project by submitting project for building plan check and finishing up the building plan check process. Staff is recommending that the committee grant the extension request, effectively extending the DRC approval date to July 6, 2021 to allow the property owner to make coordination with a contractor and to obtain the building permit from the city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions that committee members would like to present to staff? To ask staff, excuse me. Okay, is the applicant or applicant's representative here? And or the applicant? Okay, so then I'll just ask if there are any members of the public who have come here to speak for or against this extension. I'm not sure if that's how, we still have public comment for extension requests?
No.
Oh, we do not, excuse me.
We do not, okay. It's not a hearing.
Okay, got it. Okay, so so I still think it's worth a committee member, a brief committee member discussion. Is there anything that anybody would like to say or bring up regarding this extension request?
I'll just comment that given the work done by the owner over time, documented by the staff report, as well as the current COVID challenge and the like, I believe it is reasonable to approve the extension requested. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments? Please just feel free to speak up.
I agree with Commissioner Wong that it was the applicant attempted and was hijacked by the COVID. So I think I could support a continuance.
Okay, yeah, I feel the same way. It seems that there was, good movement on this application, and right as they were really right on them at the minute that they were about to, that they were given the chance to pursue shopping for CMs or COVID came at that moment. So it seems very reasonable to extend their application. Are there any other comments?
One more. I think this chart was very handy. That was included in the staff report.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Chair. That was very helpful. And that was something that came up in a discussion that Ms. Choi and I have. And I would like to also say that I think this is very helpful because we always ask this. We always want to know what kind of progress there has been made so far. And this kind of moves things along. So thank you very much. So if that's everything, I would like to ask if there is a motion.
I also move to extend the DRC case number 18-76, granting a 9-month extension per staff report.
I would second that.
Okay, could we have a roll call?
Committee Member McKay?
Yes.
Committee Member Lacon?
Yes.
Committee Member Chang?
Yes.
Vice Chair Wong?
Yes.
And Chair Batnick?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so I believe that concludes our meeting for this evening. Thank you very much, everyone, for doing all that work. And I will now adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Rest of the week.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
Eva.
Thank you.